See, let me warn you about the conversation that we're having today. The human mind, it's been proven by psychologists that we only live up to 1/3 of our actual potential. 1/3, that's 30%. Let me hear you say 30%. That means there is 70% more for you to do. That means there's someone else sitting in your seat. That means there's somebody else standing in your shoes. That means the idea that you have, the goals that you want to pursue, the person that you want to become is waiting, watching. Your dream is watching you, waiting on you. Come on, bring me forth. I'm hungry. I'm ready to go. But what happens? See, 87% of our self-talk is negative. If we had someone else talk to us the way that we talk to ourselves sometimes, we would hit that person upside the head. Because we're good at it. It becomes natural. Because our thinking is a natural limitation. And how do I know that? Because we've all been in agreement that if we had our lives to live over, we could do more than what we've done so far. Yes? So that proves that thinking is a natural limitation. So if you approach who you want to become, the goals that you have, the dreams that you want to fulfill, with that understanding, it keeps you on guard. What I want you to be on guard against? I want you to be on guard against all of those things that are going to be fighting for space in your mind. Dr. Edwin Lewis Cole said that life is a fight for territory. As soon as you stop fighting for what you don't want, what you don't want will automatically take over. My mother came to me one day when I was about 12 years old, and she said, "Son, I want you to go out in the front yard, and I want you to weed the garden." I said, "Mama, what you mean weed the garden?" She said, "Go out there and pull up the weeds." I said, "Well, what do they look like?" She said, "Oh, you'll know them when you see them because they're gnarly and they're going to be attacking anything that has life and that's beautiful." I said, "Okay." So I went out there, and sure enough, I'm looking in the garden, and I see these things that are gnarly, like she said, and I see them wrapping around some of the other flowers, and I grab one, and I pull it out. And then I grab another one, pull it out. Grab another one, pull it out. And as I start to pull the weeds out, something begins to change with the picture that I'm looking at. Something begins to emerge. The flowers are more attractive. I can see them more clearly. Something is starting to form as I'm getting rid of these weeds. It's a beautiful garden. And about an hour had gone by, and I'd gotten all the weeds out, and the soil was tilled, and everything was fresh and lovely. And I went and knocked on the door. I said, "Mama, come on here, look at I weeded the garden." And she came out there and she said, that's good, baby. Now go on out there in the backyard and do the same thing. And I did that. And the next couple of days went by, and I was admiring my handiwork. A week went by, and I went out to check out the garden to see how it was. And guess what I saw? Weeds. I said, "Mama, wait a minute. I just spent all that time weeding the garden." She said, No, son. You have to weed the garden on a regular basis. Because if you don't, the weeds are always going to be coming back, and they will eventually take over. Now, what happens when the weeds take over? See, I call it comfort. Comfort. See, weeds don't need sunlight. Weeds don't need water. Weeds don't need encouragement. It takes no effort to be lazy. It takes no effort to sit on the couch and flip channels. It takes no effort to procrastinate. It takes effort to be sustained in your focus, in your thought, in your energy, in your commitment. So those weeds will take over. And I said, wow, I got to keep weeding the garden because they're going to be fighting for space in your mind. Right now, they're fighting for space in your mind. Right now, some of you are thinking about what you're going to be doing when this is over. Right now, some of you are thinking about what you didn't do yesterday. Right now, some of you are thinking about what you might do tomorrow. I need you to be here in the present. Let me hear you say, take out the trash. Take out the trash. Trash is anything that keeps you from the most important thing, the moment. Right now, right here. You cannot produce from yesterday. You cannot produce thinking about what might happen tomorrow. You can only produce right here and now where you are. Be fully present. Give yourself the gift of presence to experience all that you are here to experience. Because what happens? I'll give you an example. I'll tell you a little story. Now, the preface of this story, which would you rather be? Would you rather be terrified or would you rather be bored? I want you to think about the most significant moments in your life. I want you to think about the most challenging situations. I want you to think about the emotional highs and the emotional lows, the things that helped shape you, the things that helped build your character and take you to a higher person of who you are right now. I guarantee you this, and I wasn't there for any of them. They happened first in here, and then in here. Your mind and your heart. That is where you have to be, fully present. Terrified or bored? I had two terrors for a long time. The first one was stand-up comedy. I went downtown to a club in New York, and I did that. I did that. The second one was free falling. Have you ever had that experience when you wake up from a dream and you're falling and you wake up and you're sweaty because your body's responding to what your mind was imagining? Woo! I said, I got to do something about this. So I decided I am going to jump out of a plane. And I called my friend the morning before and I said, you know what, I'm going to go skydiving. He said, why would you want to jump out of a perfectly good plane? It's just something I got to do. Let me hear you say, be unreasonable. Sometimes you just got to do things that don't make any sense. It's got to be unreasonable in order for it to be significant. Nothing in this world that's been created started out as a reasonable idea. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. She said, you know, when the Wright brothers put out a press release that they were going to do this thing with this big heavy machine and they were going to lift it off the ground for about 6 seconds and demonstrate that you can create something that could fly, the New York Times printed in their paper, it will take 10 million years before that could ever become a reality. That was 100 years ago. Be unreasonable. I said, listen, I got to jump out of this plane. I don't know. I just got to do it. So I drive out to Long Island. It's a beautiful day. And the first thing you have to do when you get to the facility, it's a little trailer, and then the airstrip is right behind it. The gentleman says, listen, I need you to watch this video before you engage on this journey. So he puts the video in, and I watch the video, and Les Man comes on, and he says, if you die, it is not our responsibility. That's good. Thank you for that. That's good encouragement. And then they make you sign this release, and you got to read all the things. If you're maimed, if you walk away crippled, if anything happens bad to you, we ain't got nothing to do with it. So you sign that. That's a good confidence builder. So I go out to the airstrip, and another gentleman comes out, and he says, listen, your pilot's really good. He's been doing this for years. I want you to meet him. His name is Chip. Hey, Chip! And so Chip comes from around the corner, and Hazel, Chip is, first of all, he's got on a T-shirt, he's got a big gut, he's got mustard on his shirt, he's got crumbs all in his beard, he's got his hat on backwards. He's like, hey, how you doing? I said, I'm fine. How are you? You're going to be flying the plane. Okay. And then my instructor, he says, listen now, this is what you're going to do. He hooks us all up with parachute and everything. He takes us to the basic instructions, and he gives me 3 things to remember. 1, 2, arch. He said, when you jump out of the plane, make sure you arch, because if you don't arch, you're going to be in big trouble. Okay, I got that. Arch. I can remember that. 1, 2, 3, arch. So we get into this plane, and let me tell you, I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. The plane was literally from here to about here. And I am jumping with another person who is an FBI anti-terrorism agent. Okay? You can't make this stuff up. So we get in the plane, and, trying to fit all in the plane, and it's yay big, and we're all scrunched up in there. And the plane goes down the runway, and it takes off. And, these tiny planes, they feel everything. A pigeon flew by, and the plane was... And you know how that is, and that turbulence hits you, you're like, oh. And every time that thing shocks you, you're thinking, oh, I'm alive. Woo, I'm glad to be here. I hope I can make it through this. And the plane is going up and going up. And I said to the pilot, how long are we going to have to ascend? And he's sitting there with his Lay's potato chips with one hand and flying the plane with the other. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, what have I done? And then I said to myself, you know what, I'm here. Let me just maximize the moment, because I don't know when the next one or if the next one's going to come. So I looked out the window and I saw that it was a clear blue sky, and I started to appreciate that. Even though the plane was still doing that turbulent thing, I started to appreciate that. I looked down and I saw the beautiful water. It was clear, it was blue and green, and I saw the beach, and then I saw the Hamptons, and I started to appreciate where I was. I was fully present in the moment. And before I knew it, He opened the door, and that wind starts flying. He says, okay, now put your foot out on the ledge. All right, you ready? Yeah. 1, 2, arch. And before I knew it, I'm free falling. And the wind is and I remember him saying, you know, don't look down, keep your head up. But I couldn't help it. I had to look down. I wanted to see. So I looked down, and all the wind, and my face and skin's going all up like this. But I could see everything, this place that we come from. And it was beautiful. And I thought, whoa, I can't believe I'm doing this. And I just appreciated it. And it was the longest 30 seconds of my life. And then eventually we pull the cord, parachute opens, and then that's the second part of the phase, and we're zigzagging, and we're doing 360s, and we're just fully in the moment, enjoying everything. We get down to the ground, and the turbulence that I talked to you about. You see, when airplanes take off, they have to go against the wind. If they're going with the wind, they can't take off. They got to have some resistance. You guys are going to have some resistance when you're working on your stuff. You're going to have some resistance when you're trying to achieve something. You're going to have some resistance when you're seeking to be fully present in the moment. But don't quit. Les Brown said, you'll win if you don't quit. Most people quit. And guess what? See, the first time you give up on something, the first time you stop, the second time, it's 10 times easier to quit. And then after that, it's a done deal. Don't quit. Turbulence, you're going to need it to lift up, to go higher, to go to that elevated state. And I was fully present in the moment. Was I looking for a guarantee? No. Was I looking for a certain kind of outcome? No. I was simply being fully present in the moment. Let me hear you say, I can do more. Because there is more in me. When you're working on your stuff, think about the books that you're reading, the conversations that you're having, the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Someone said to me, dime con quien andas y te dime quien eres. Tell me who you walk with, and I will tell you who you are. Be mindful of your surroundings. Be mindful of your effort. Let me hear you say, Ed, you can do more, brother. You see, Les said that you learn and you earn and you pass it on. Well, I'd like to say that I've been learning from Mr. Brown. And I've been earning as a result of what I've learned. And now it is my opportunity to pass it back. Break off a little love for my man there. Break off a little love. This is real. It's real. It works because I work it. It will work because you work it. And to show you my level of commitment to you, when we wrap this up, the first 20 people, let me hear you say 20 people. The first 20 people at my table, I'm going to cut my CDs in half. Right, that's the first thing. Because I saw he had his stuff out there, and he's lowered his price. I used to get on him about lowering his price. He said, I got to give because that's just who I am. So I'm going to match Mr. Brown. I'm going to cut my prices in half. And the first 20 people, I'm going to give you a $200 gift.
Ed Blunt. Let's give Ed a round of applause. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking professionally for 25 years. Come up here, Ed. Ed, how long have you been involved in the training?
I started training with Mr. Brown about 2.5 years ago.
Now, hold this a minute. When you work for a pharmaceutical company, how much do they pay you for your first engagement?
$12,000 an hour.
How many like to make $12,000 an hour? Tell them about that experience, what happened as a result of the training.
I'm a living testimonial. I think we should all have living testimonials. I went to this company. What happened was I was at a training in Miami, his training, and I was speaking to a group like this. Someone in the audience said, hey, can you do some of that for our organization, our corporation? I said, yes. What would you like me to do? They gave me their agenda, their topic, and I did the research on the company. I talked to the employees and the people that were bringing me in, and I went in there and I did my thing. And they were really moved by what I did. That was on a Wednesday. On a Thursday and a Friday, some other speaker had been contracted to come in and finish out the last 2 days of the week at this very intense training. It's right before the beginning of their rush for products and expansion, huge expansion. So the speaker spoke on Thursday, and the regional director was not happy with what the speaker did. So he paid the speaker for Friday and asked him not to come back. He called me Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. and said, can you get on a plane and come back to North Carolina to speak to an entirely different group, and this is the topic, and we need you here 9 a.m. sharp. Yeah,